everyone. Welcome to this week's art class. Right, if there's anyone new, let me give you a little bit of an explanation. So I've got a model and I'll ask her questions and we'll chit chat and then you can draw her. And what quite a lot of people do is do a screenshot, because to be honest, the models, it's a bit hard for them to keep still. So if you've got the screenshot, you can watch that on your other device and listen to us still chatting on your main device, whatever you choose to do. And then if you want to ask my guests some questions or me some questions, you can type them in the comments on Facebook and then we'll put them up at the bottom and we'll try and answer all your questions. And then when you finish your, hi Tara, I'm looking forward to your picture. Hi Despo. And then at the end, you can send your pictures in on Facebook Messenger to Isolation Station Hastings. And then we have a little gallery and we look at them all. And to be honest, my model today, Corrine, she looks really lovely and she's got really good background. So it's going to make a really lovely picture. But please don't be intimidated and think you're no good at art, because everyone is and everyone can do a drawing. And the more you draw, the better you'll get. Because we've noticed that throughout the classes, how the letters have improved. So, but this week I've got a little something different. I wondered if anyone will make any donations. You don't have to if you don't want to, but the link's in for the event. But a friend of mine, poor love, she had cancer in her eye 4 years ago and now she's got cancer in her liver and the NHS can't afford the treatment. I think it's £140,000. So it's the crowdfunder. So we put the link up. So if you've got like £1 or anything, any little bit will help. So if you could do that, that would be really lovely. And she's an artist as well, so you're supporting the arts. So now I would like to introduce, I'll just remind you, see, I've known Corrine for a long time, but I don't know her very well, really. So I'm keen to find out information about her as well. So here, from Swing Out Sister, it's the lovely Corrine Drewery.
Hello.
There you go. It's a marvellous thing for you to draw with all these zigzags. I think it's fabulous. So how are you, Corrine?
I'm fine. And I'm keen to find out more about you. I think we need to interview you one of these days as well. And you have somebody come and interview you for the arts class, because it is funny, isn't it, that we all used to hang out together, go to the same clubs, knew a lot of the same people. But I think there's too much noise going on for us to really get chatting. We just used to see each other and
I go, hi. Lots of friends in common. But yeah, so like me, Corrine's a girl of the 80s. But she has a multiple career. You might just think, you see, that she's the singer of Swing Out Sister. But you started off in fashion, didn't you? So perhaps you'd like to tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I did. I think it's because I couldn't really decide what else to do. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a singer or a fashion designer. So I'm quite lucky I've been able to do both. But yeah, I did end up doing more textiles than fashion when I started at St. Martin's. But I think I wanted to be like Diana Ross, because she could sing the songs and design her own clothes after seeing that film Mahogany.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you just think, oh, wouldn't it be great to just design all your gowns and then toodle off on tour? Actually, it was probably more. Yeah, I did a few, but I prefer to leave it to the people who kind of spend all their time doing it. I think it's quite difficult to divide it between the two, but, you know, sometimes it's good to know what you want to look like, to sound that creates the look and the look that creates the sound. You've got to feel comfortable, but I am quite a visual person. But
can I just tell everyone that on that little tree thing, I don't know why I'm pointing. You can't see my finger pointing on it. So maybe they might pop along in a minute, because I know you like looking at cats and things like that. Dogs.
There's one sitting in the chair. She's just out of shot, but I'll have to move she'll probably come and sit on my knee. But I did get them all seated perfectly, and I think they're going to run off by the time we start. But they might come out and say hello. They're a bit small. If we want them in shot, I'll have to move the camera.
Right. So now where were we? Yes, you're designing your clothes because you've got a very distinctive look, haven't you?
Well, I think it's probably all come out of where we all were, the same style pool, when we were all hanging about in the 80s clubbing and, a few of us were at St Martin's. I think we all influenced each other. It was all the time. We were just coming out of punk and just going into the New Romantics or whatever it was called. And I do think that time really came from the Charles Fox warehouse closing down in Covent Garden. Can you remember that?
No, because I don't think I came to London about a year after the main Blitz. I went there a couple of times, but I wasn't really in the Blitz kit cowed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I've heard all about it.
It was more when it became Hell, or there was the Beetroot and the Wag Club and Taboo. But I think it must have been in about 1979, the Charles Fox costumier's warehouse in Covent Garden in Earlham Street closed down, and word went around that you could take a bin liner bag and fill it up for a £5. So, of course, we used to get down there, shove as many things in as you could. And a lot of them were extras clothes. I think they took all the lead costumes to Berman Nathan's, and I think they'd moved out somewhere in North London. But all the kind of extras outfits and the ones that are a bit raggedy or that maybe only had to in front, they were all left here on shelves, and we just came out with bin liner bags full. And I can remember feeling like I was Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady for about, I don't know, 2 weeks, 2 months, as long as the outfit lasted. It was made of felt, so you couldn't really even have it cleaned. It fell apart eventually. Waltzing around St Martin's and going out at night in the same outfit, hanging around in Covent Garden thinking, yeah, this is where My Fair Lady and Oliver was filmed. I'm wearing the outfit. It was probably in that film.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. People here are always dressing up for any opportunity. And last year there was Pirate Day, and there's a shop called Teddy Tinker's. I thought, I need a waistcoat. I had a dress, old dress Leah made me. I thought, I need a waistcoat. You know, that laces up the front?
Yeah.
I went and there it was, just waiting for me. And that was from, what's that opera near here? That big posh opera place. Every year, that Glyndebourne.
Oh.
Yeah,
are you near Glyndebourne? I didn't know you were near there.
Yeah, apparently. I haven't been there myself, but it's not
Glyndebourne. I don't even know how you say it.
No, not do I. But it must say very good here for fancy dress. So you were at St Martin's with various of the New Romantics, such as Stephen Linnard, were you?
Oh yes, Mr. Linnard.
Now. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's Wag Club on Sea now, isn't it? Hastings and St Leonard's and Bexhill. I've been learning about the differences from you, because I wasn't sure they were so close together, but you're kind of rolled into one, really.
Yeah.
It's the groovy place to be.
You know Jennifer Binney, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's moving here now.
Oh, so is Wilma moving with her?
I don't know, I'm not sure, but I know Jennifer, she's opening a shop or something.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Well, I'm obviously missing out. I mean, I think throughout this long, hot summer of lockdown, I was so desperate to move to the sea because I like swimming and all the pools were closed. I mean, Lido's, you wouldn't think there would be that tricky, but I suppose at the time they didn't know. They're trying to campaign to keep Lido's open because apparently the virus isn't... I don't know. It's
well, they're full of bleach, aren't they? So wouldn't it just kill it?
Yeah, chlorine kills the virus apparently. But I need to be able to see.
Yeah, because it was lovely. Because even me went swimming in the summer.
Oh, I saw your pictures.
But some people are still swimming now in this freezing cold and the winds and that. They're still going.
I know. I'm not quite tough enough. I'd like to think the latest I've swum in the sea is October, I think.
Well, that's good.
I'm not that good.
It's hard to believe it's November now. The whole year's just gone past so quick. You'd think it would be a bit slower because nothing much was happening.
It feels like it just shrunk. It stood still in time. I mean, I think the one thing about this whole lockdown, it's made us have to draw upon our own inner strength and our creativity and the things that we've got all around us, when we couldn't go anywhere and we couldn't leave the house. Some of us are on our own, some of us are with people, but I think it really made us have to set to and think, well, what did we used to do before we had all this technology? Although the technology helped to keep us going throughout all that, I suppose. But
I think, what would we have done if we hadn't have had the technology?
We'd have knitted a whole lot more jumpers.
And Written letters to people,
Letters.
back to the post box.
Yes. Yeah, the letterboxes would have been full.
So we've got another week, another month of it coming up. But I know it's a sick in the head, but I'm quite looking forward to it. I've got all my telly programs planned.
It's different now, I suppose, because we can stay in and keep cozy. It's just if you have to go somewhere and be indoors with other people in a public place, we can't keep so much fresh air flowing if it's cold. I think we have to toughen up and wear more jumpers.
I know, because I read that fresh air is really good to get rid of it. So all day long I have my front door open.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit nippy for that now.
You can chat to your neighbours. Well, you just have to get your woolly coat on, woolly socks.
My garden's on a corner, so it was good in the summer, you know, when the previous lockdown. So I sit in the garden, then people would walk past and would have a little chat.
Yeah, get to know your neighbours. I mean, it has been good for that. It's been good for getting to know the people around you. When we're so busy rushing around, everyone had to stop. And I think the other thing was everyone was in the same situation. So you didn't feel so much, what am I missing out on being locked down here? Everyone, the whole country, the whole world was going through the same thing at once.
I know what I felt sorry for was celebrities who like to be in Heat magazine on the red carpet. Their life has been terrible because they couldn't get that attention they were craving.
Well, I suppose it was like the Andy Warhol thing. It's like everyone's famous now online. Anyone can be online. And when everyone's locked down inside, I mean, people have been very creative and thought of all kinds of ideas. And I think people's creativity is thriving.
Did you do any concerts online or anything?
No, because we got quite ill with the virus pretty early on. So that knocked us for 6. And one of the other members of our band who became ill said it's a bit like being sick in the summer holidays. You're suddenly given all this time to yourself, but then you can't use it if you're just ill. I mean, it really knocked it out of 4 of us in our band. But
how long were you affected for?
About 3 weeks, really not being able to do much at all. But then after that, it just relieves you with this incredible fatigue, indescribable. You can't believe just walking to the end of the road. When I could leave the house, I got so out of breath. Actually, I hadn't left the house for over a month. This shows how long. Well, no, it was 2 months. This shows how long it took me. I went out and I had odd shoes on. I was thinking, I've been in my pajamas for so long, over a month. I finally got dressed to go out and buy some milk or something. And it's like, oh my God, I've got odd shoes on. What's going on? I've forgotten how to get dressed.
Look after you.
I don't think anyone knows. I just thought my feet feel a bit uneven and funny. And then I looked down, I've got shoes.
Oh no. Is it properly better now, or is there still underlying?
I think it creeps back up on you if you don't look after yourself. I think you really have to just make sure and not get too tired, not stay up too late, not do too much. I haven't got quite the same energies yet as I had, but some of that might just be from being locked down. I think we've all got a bit out of practice. I used to go swimming every day, go walking, running. It's like there's not so many places to go. And also you kind of feel, oh, I'll give it a miss today. I've always got tomorrow. Whereas when you've got a routine, I think you kind of stick at these things.
I know, you can't. You're going to go back to the gym.
Yeah. No, I don't really go to the gym, but I go swimming in the winter in the heated pool there. But we've got, that's when I'm up in Manchester. There's perfectly good Lidos here in London when they're open. They're fantastic. And that you get changed outside, you swim outside. It doesn't matter if it's raining, you're going to get wet anyway. That's a really good way to toughen you up. But if this keeps happening, then maybe I'll have to move to the seaside. But what you're saying about performances, we were rehearsing for a tour just before lockdown happened, a week and a half before lockdown. And it was the week before, and they were just announcing there was going to be a lockdown, and it was all a bit sudden. So we actually aired our performances online. I think some people had already locked down, and we just said, hey, this might be the last performance we're doing for some time. I hope it's not forever. but we did a little gig in our studio, and we're thinking of doing something like that. But now there's a lockdown. I don't even know what the situation is with that. We have to socially distance when we're performing. Singing is worse than coughing, apparently. So I'd probably need to design some kind of Courage type helmet, so I don't send any aerosols out.
Yeah. But if you were at the front, it'd just be blowing that way forward.
Onto the audience. But yeah, without an audience, I suppose you've got empty seats. Yeah, it's a very strange time. I mean, I suppose we're not the emergency services. You want to make sure that the NHS and, the people on the front line, the key workers, get the support they need. But I mean, music and performance is something to share, and music has got us through a whole lot of situations. I mean, the reason I got into music in the first place is because I had a bit of a troubled childhood with my parents' divorce, and music was my savior. And I think, music is so.
What was the first album you bought?
The first album?
Or single?
Oh, I think the first single I bought was Rupert the Bear by Jackie Lee, and she actually sang the White Horses theme. Can you remember that program?
White Horses.
And she was also a bit of a Northern Soul singer, I found out later on. But then I think the second single I bought was I Hear You Knocking by Dave Edmunds.
Oh, I used to be obsessed with that. You see, we didn't get record played till I was about 13. There was no point me buying singles, but I was very fond of. I used to fancy Dave Edmunds.
Oh, well, my mum and dad had a record player. They had a stereo from when I was very young, and I used to try and climb inside it to find the sound when I was little. It was like I can remember listening to River Deep, Mountain High, and that was the Phil Spector sound with the huge reverb on it, his wall of sound. And I can remember the smell of the stereogram. I don't know if you remember that smell. It was like a smell of electricity. Record shops you smell like it. I think it was the smell of fresh vinyl, a static smell. And I can remember they bought River Deep, Mountain High, and I was trying to work out where all this echo came from. And it really got to me, that song, because she was singing when she was a little girl, she had a rag doll, the only toy she ever had, and that resonated with me.
I don't understand how records work. It's beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, it's a very magical thing, isn't it? You've got a little needle.
Yeah, people have got a special talent. They can look at a record and they know what the tune is.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
A bizarre talent to have, but still. Yeah, I think my
bought
World of Amen Corner.
Oh, that was your first album.
Yeah, and then Bridge Over Troubled Water. I must have played probably 1,000,000 times, almost to death.
Oh wow, you're very classy. I mean,
I still love that record.
It's timeless, isn't it? And that's why it must have been the best-selling album of all time. It was in the charts for about 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Still do. Still very happy to hear it.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, let me think. So your parents were quite party goers, you said, didn't you?
Oh, they like to throw a party. I think they really loved music and having all their friends around. And we used to live in this flat in Nottingham, and they used to I can just remember waking up in the morning with all bodies strewn around and ashtrays overflowing and bottles of beer. They had a little bar up in the attic. You had to go up the attic stairs and there was a little bar. It was the top two floors of the shop. It had all like those lights you see in pub gardens. They kind of made their own bar. But they had all kinds of friends. They had some friends who were in a band, and one day they turned up in a tour bus, and it had their name on the side. They were called the Beat Men, and I think I was convinced they were the Beatles. And I wanted to go with them on this tour bus, and I went running along the bus, and they had these green baize tables with cards, for card playing, and little lamps on the top, and I could see all their instruments at the back, like guitar cases and drum cases, and I was like, can I come with you? They're like four skinny boys. And they go, it's not a place for kiddies, So I think it
was a tour bus.
Pardon?
Did you have a proper tour bus when you were on tour?
We didn't do it till quite late on in life. I mean, when we started out, I joined up with Andy and Martin, and they'd already paid their dues. driving around in the back of vans doing many gigs, and I think they'd had enough of doing gigs. They didn't really want to do live stuff anymore, and I'd already bought my tour pajamas.
Oh, bless. What were they like?
They had my name embroidered on the top, and when I'd only done a few demos with them, and I said, look, I bought my tour pajamas, and they're going, what are you on about? I'm going, well, we're going to be on a tour bus, aren't we, all together on bunk beds? It'll be just like summer holiday. I was very excited, and then they go, and I think, you know, I was really expecting us to be going around in a bus just like summer holiday for quite a few months, years, and then it dawned on me, there had suddenly been a music revolution. There was MTV, there was VH1, you could make a video, and that would suddenly sprung out to the world, and you didn't really need to do all that schlepping around in a tour bus. I was quite sad, but I did manage to do it when I got to the tender age of 45 or something. We toured
around the country or around the world, or
it was America, and we were in a hotel, and the boss was going to come and pick us up, and I'd said to Dee, one of our backing vocalists, Dee, can you put my bag on one of the top bunks? I'd like to bag you a top bunk, thinking everyone's going to want the top bunk. And then when I got there, all the top bunks were empty. I think it was a 12-berth bus.
Yeah.
And everyone had found their little places. And you have a bar on the bus, and you drive into the night, and you turn up at the gig the next day, and you don't have to get up till you do the sound check. It's all very civilized, as long as you all get on together. But I just thought, well, we'll have a nice little drink, have a little sing-song. Everyone had gone to bed. I was one of the last up.
Oh, no.
You have a little curtain shut like Some Like It Hot. I thought, hey, it's just like Some Like It Hot. But I realised that's why nobody wants the top bunk, because if you've had a few drinks and you're trying to get on the top, it's not like those bunk beds when you little with a little ladder up the side. You have to climb on one bunk, two bunk, and then hoist yourself up to the top. And the bus is rickety along down the freeway, and it was quite a tricky one. But I thought it was so funny. People were looking behind the little curtains, grabbing my ankle and grabbing my leg, going, will you shut up? And when I got to bed, I laughed all night. I was so excited. And it was when mobile phones had just come out, or I'd got my first mobile phone. And Mo phoned me up, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were going down the freeway. So Mo Tomini, if you listen, I was going, I can't really talk now. I'm in bed. I'm meant to be quiet. It was very funny.
Oh, bless. And what I was going to say, but before that, you got designing, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I went to St. Martin's, learned how to design clothes, sort of. I did textile design, or it was a combination of the two. And with a couple of friends, we set up a company called La Palette, and that was the same time as Body Map and Vivienne Westwood, Buffalo Boys and Girls. Stephen Leonard graduated at the same time. Sade, I think, as well. You know, we all sort of set off in the world trying to do our own thing. It was a good time, and there was a bit of a London revolution. It was almost like a resurgence of the swinging 60s or something. All eyes seemed to be on London at the time, and I think it was a lot to do with Vivienne Westwood and the whole her and Malcolm McLaren and the Buffalo Boys and the Buffalo Girls, and Women's Wear Daily had a field day, and you know, people were buying our stuff in New York and Tokyo, and you know, we had stuff on sale in Bloomingdale's and Macy's and Isetan in Japan, and lots of little shops all around England as well. I mean, we did all right, but we didn't make much money. Our studio is in the same building as Steve and Mr. Leonard, actually. There are quite a few of us had studios in there. So
whereabouts was it?
It was Panther House, the infamous Panther House, just off Gray's Inn Road.
Yeah. Oh, everyone.
Cross, or Holborn, I suppose it was, really. Yeah. But you could get a studio there, and you know, it wasn't too much money. There were recording studios in there. Hazy Fantasy had a studio, or they did some recording down there. I think it was their studio.
Yeah.
So, Stephen was there. I can't remember who else, but people came and went all the time. But it was a hub of creativity.
Oh, Yeah, 'cause I remember going to New York with Lee for the Britain's Invasion or something. You
Yeah.
know, Auburn. Michael Kosif organised it. Annie LaPaz, Judy Blame. We were all there. It was amazing. I was so excited. But added to the treat, I was on Nationwide.
Woo!
Because they filmed, English Invasion of New York. That was more being there, being on actual Nationwide.
Then your mum could see it.
Yeah, exactly. I think she was pregnant with my brother no, she couldn't have been. No, she had a broken leg. I knew there was some hoo-ha with her. So she was extra excited. So I've always known Corrine Drewery. She's a pop singer, but she also designed a best-selling dress for Laura Ashley. Now, how did that come about?
Well, they bought my a dress from my degree show when I left St Martin's,
Yeah.
and it was a printed dress, sort of Victorian style, and yeah, they bought this design, and it suddenly became a bestseller. And I started seeing my friends wearing it. I'm thinking, oh, I designed that dress. How much did you pay for that? I was thinking, I could knot you one up. I'll make you one. But I thought I wouldn't have done it as well. They did it in really nice fabrics. It was a kind of Victorian style, but loose with pockets. So it was kind of casual Victorian, if you can imagine such a thing.
And I think I probably had one similar because I was a big fan of Laura Ashley.
But they had to build a factory apparently just to produce that dress, because it was walking out of the shops. It became known as the Vogue uniform for a while. And so I phoned Nick Ashley up and said, you know that dress that I sold you for 150 quid from my degree show? Could you give me a penny for everyone you've sold? He said, it doesn't really work like that. We made the deal. We've sold you the dress. You sold us the design. That's how it works. But one thing they did do, which I thought was a really, it's a kind thing to do. They kept buying designs from me every season, even though half the time I don't think they used them or intended to. Even to when we had been on Top of the Pops and we were traveling around the world. I can remember once sending some designs by fax from Australia to get them in by the deadline. But, they bought some designs from me every season, so I did get paid off in some way.
Oh, well, that was nice. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask? Anyone got any? But you can ask them. But anyway, I know what I read about that I was very interested in your business, that you performed on a cruise ship.
Oh, yeah, we did. In fact, that was the second to last performance we've done.
Yeah.
I never really fancied going on a cruise ship. It seemed a lot of people of our age starting cruising now.
I half fancy it,
You haven't been on one?
No.
It's a kind of strange experience. I mean, I did think they were for much more mature people than us, but I suppose we are quite mature. But it was quite an eye-opener. It was organised by some people who organise a festival in America called Capital Jazz. Yeah. And so it's jazz, R&B, mixture of stuff, but they usually have a festival in Baltimore, but this is like a festival on a cruise ship. And it was amazing. It was such a great atmosphere. Lots of bands I really wanted to see. And
who else was there then?
Omar was on it. I didn't see him though, because unfortunately I got laryngitis. I had to stay in my room.
You're in your ailments.
I lost my voice, so we went all the way to Miami, got on the cruise ship, been out in the Caribbean for 4 days, and then there was not a peep coming out. And I was thinking, oh no! And we've got our band and crew of 12 people. They were all right. They could go and sunbathe and go and see all the other bands, but I had to stay in the confines of my room and just get better and go to the ship doctor and get some special potions to sort me out. I did get my voice back though. Who else is on? Layla Hathaway, Denise Williams.
Multinational.
There were loads of great people there. I can't actually remember because I couldn't go and see them. Yeah. But there were also these fantastic things going on in all the bars on the boat. Like there'll be dance classes and different clubs and things going on there. These people called the Chicago Steppers, who all get dressed up in sort of Al Capone style outfits and do stepping, which is a sort of slow Well, I don't know how you would describe it really. It's not quite a waltz. It's it's very strictly, but they
Yeah,
all dressed up to the nines. Everyone on the boat was dressed up to the nines. It was really fantastic and a great atmosphere. And we couldn't really get off at a couple of the stops in the Caribbean because suddenly it was stormy. It was stormy on the day of our gig, and
yeah.
so everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. But we had fun
Oh, it's
regardless.
lovely. Do you ever do any of those ones like at holiday camps, tours of the 80s?
No, we
Oh,
haven't really done that. I think I don't know. The 80s are a bit of a blur to me, and we didn't really arrive till the late 80s.
yeah,
I don't like to dwell on it too much because we've done quite a lot. We've done more than we ever did in the 80s
yeah,
since. But I mean, that was obviously when we appeared on the scene and we were very successful and
yeah.
we had lots of the 80s, but we've kept creating throughout, and we've toured more outside the 80s than we did in the 80s because, like I said, there was VH1, MTV, a lot of TV programs that promoted us. So we didn't do much live stuff, but we've done a lot more live things and
Yeah.
festivals and stuff of late.
Aren't you very big in Japan?
We have been big in Japan, but it's not that difficult to be big in Japan because the population of Japan is about twice the size of the UK.
Yeah,
But they're very loyal. If you are successful in Japan, I think they're very loyal and they stick with you. So I've seen many. When we first went to Japan, there were all kinds of artists from all over the world who, you maybe hadn't heard from for a
yeah,
while, and would have new albums out in Japan, and they would be releasing all their back catalogue. You could find the best. I bought 3 suitcases once to bring CDs back from Japan from bands, stuff that I hadn't heard anywhere else in the world, but American and English
yeah,
artists. They're very loyal listeners, and I know everybody thinks of J-pop and that kind of thing, but they're jazz lovers and very, very knowledgeable. And going to a Japanese record shop is an experience in itself. Well, I don't know if there's record shops anymore. They had CDs before they seem to appear on the scene here when it was still all vinyl here, but they'll do like a family tree of who was in this band, where's the next band they went to, who wrote this song and what band they were in, and all informative notes on the display. And
yeah,
they're dedicated about, that's just the way Japanese people are. I think they're very they're organized and knowledgeable and like to share their knowledge.
yeah. Oh, not like it. You wouldn't say that about Hastings.
I don't know. The Hastings effect. We're feeling it everywhere. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, and I'm sure with what you're doing and with the lockdown and more people wanting to move to the sea, there's quite a scene going on in Hastings now.
No,
All the movers and shakers have moved there.
it's all go. Well, I just thought something. What was I going to say to you? I thought of something. But most interest I was going to say, and now it's gone right out of my mind.
This happens all the time. What would the
Old age creeping up, isn't it?
Well,
You're really tall in Japan. Do they stare at you because you're too tall?
Well, people are getting taller now. Apparently, since more Western food is introduced to Japan, that's kind of more, I don't know, probably more rubbish. But I think people
their food to be more healthy.
Yeah. But since the Western diet was introduced to Japan, I think people are a lot taller. So I'm not that tall now. Although I remember when Andy and I went there, a friend of ours, she was a translator, but became a good friend of ours. And she was quite intrigued that I'm about 1.5 inches taller than Andy. Because I think in Japan, they have a very traditional, I don't know if it's still quite so much that way, but it was then, it was traditional. The man had to be taller than the woman. And she said, Corrine, is Andy slightly taller than you? Is Andy slightly smaller than you? And she thought it was very strange that I was a bit taller than, my partner. And it really didn't it wasn't the done thing then in Japan.
Well, I just watched when I was really bored in lockdown, I watched this program about an Indian matchmaker on Netflix. They were obsessed with the height of their brides. It was most peculiar. I don't know if they wanted tall children, but they all demanded a bride over 5'4".
Oh.
I think they were hoping, to build up the height of the population or something. It was very peculiar. I know that they always go on about they want pale skin, don't they, in India?
It's complicated, and I suppose these days people don't quite know what they're getting because all this online dating and stuff. Some people are a bit dishonest, aren't
they? Yeah, very. Yeah, none of her matches worked. I don't think it's a bother. Anyone got any questions to come up? They're very quiet today. We haven't got. I don't know what.
Maybe no one's watching. Is anyone else?
We're sitting here on our own. There's a couple of people, surely. Oh, there we go. Becky, she could listen to you talking all day long. Your voice is so wonderful, so musical, and she's so cool. I love her stories.
Let me have a look. Becky Marquez. I have to put my glasses on to read this because it's too small.
You're very big in the Philippines.
Yeah, well, this is Becky's from Brazil and Mitch is from the Philippines, and they're two places that we've been really well received, and we've had a great welcome. And it's fabulous that music can take you all around the world. Let me have a look. Becky, is there a country we haven't visited yet? I haven't ever been to India or Africa, actually, the continents, but I don't know. I loved it in Brazil. I'd like to explore more of Brazil. Becky was kind of she loved our music. And so we said, do you want to help us out and teach us a little bit of Portuguese, or at least be our interpreter? Yeah. She really helped us, and she showed us some fantastic places in Sao Paulo.
Oh, I love it when I like going abroad. I don't really like going abroad for holiday. I like going abroad for a reason.
Yeah.
And someone there who lives there shows you around, and so you live the proper life. Not the proper life, but you get to see the real place.
Yeah, no, Andy says you're obsessed with finding the real Tokyo or the real Mexico City, but I like to just do things that everyone does there. Go to a shop and see what people buy in their local shop.
I'd rather go to a supermarket than a museum.
Yeah, and look in people's houses.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
And estate agents.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my love of going around. And Becky asked as well, do you carry a notebook round for your lyrics?
I do. I try to, but then I usually lose it, so they end up being written on a bit of paper somewhere, or I'll try and memorize it, or I'll send myself a message on my phone. But I probably carry a sketchbook round more. And a sketchbook really helps me photograph that memory. It's a lasting memory if you sit and draw something, and it takes a bit of that place away with you.
Sometimes doing a sketch is much better, isn't it, than doing a photograph like that. But when you're drawing, you're really looking at it and seeing everything.
Yeah, you're absorbing it.
Yeah. What's your favorite music?
Oh, that's a difficult one. It depends on your mood, doesn't it? I love all kinds of music. I suppose it's if I just had to make a quick decision, I'd probably listen to Motown or Northern Soul, or I'd find a favorite album. I mean, it really depends on your mood. If you want to be up, or I suppose with all the
go wrong, really, can you?
With Motown
songs, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic time, and those songs are so uplifting and beautifully crafted. They've been a big inspiration to us. But then there's all kinds of other stuff. I like listening to film soundtracks and stuff like Ennio Morricone and John Barry. There's I don't know. I would say soundtracks are like classical music to me. If you just want something
Yeah.
to surround you and to just create an atmosphere, then I love listening to film soundtracks.
I know what I've remembered now. What I want. Oh, who's Jamie Spencer? Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Thanks for listening to see us. Who's your favourite keyboard player? Is he
Oh,
here?
well, I have to say Andy Connell, don't I? My partner in crime. And
How many years have you been together?
oh God, I don't really know. I mean, we were together for a while, just in a band making music, but then we got together at some
Romance.
point. Yeah, but I can't really remember when. I shouldn't really say that, but it kind of all merges.
Yeah.
But I suppose we've been making music for about 34 years,
Yeah.
maybe a bit longer than that. So, it was a bit after that. Yeah, maybe 30 years.
Oh, do you have any memories from your first Italian gig at the festival bar?
Oh, yes, I do. Antonio, hello. Um, Italy used to do throughout the summer festival bar. It was going out on national TV, but they used to do on every Saturday night. So it was a big summer concert, and they'd have bands from all over the place. But they'd also pick a fantastic location. So one Saturday night it might be in Capri in the Market Square. I remember Sarah Jane Morris, I think, was doing that one.
Oh, was she?
I think so. We bumped into each other doing a festival bar, and another one was in the main square in Siena, which isn't square; it's a circle. It's a circular. I don't know. Well, you can't call it a square if it's a circle.
Yeah.
There's a kind of castle all around it, and now our dressing rooms were down in the dungeons, and I think we were next door to the Pet Shop Boys.
Oh.
And it felt like warriors and chariots were all going to be coming out. It was a very medieval setting, but they built this big stage, and it was beautifully floodlit in the center of Siena. It was beautiful. We did another one in Verona, in fair Verona.
Shakespearean thing.
Pardon?
It all sounds very Shakespearean.
It did feel like it. We were, yeah, it was beautiful. I did try and find the balcony, the Romeo and Juliet balcony, but everyone said it doesn't really exist. But I didn't want to hear that. But we got to see some of the most beautiful parts of Italy, and it was just doing their Saturday night TV shows, and there are all kinds of
Italian TV shows. They're fantastic. Because on my telly, I used to have Ray Unu, but I don't think I've got it anymore. So I just sit and watch these like Saturday night variety shows. They were fantastic.
Yeah, and some of the ones from the 60s, you see some of those, they are fabulous, and they've all got live orchestras and beautiful.
I know, I love them. Shame I haven't got. But I know I was going to say to you, Pose. I was excited when I was watching Pose, and on came Breakout. Really? Or did you know beforehand?
Well, if they're going to use some of our music in a TV program or film, our publishers get in touch with us, and they have to get our approval. But they described the scene. I wasn't too sure what was going on, but it said Electra has completed her transition and has her final injection, and I kind of wasn't too sure what it was about. It wasn't that clear what it was about, but it turned out it was quite a pivotal point in the series, really, when she was successful, she completed her transition, and it was all about voguing in New York. I didn't really get that when we approved it, and we suddenly started hearing from friends in America, hey, you've got such a great point in the series where Breakout appeared, and I couldn't believe they showed that on the BBC. I thought that was fantastic that it actually got an airing on Prime TV.
Oh, it's marvellous. I've watched it all. But sometimes I wonder, have you ever done the Umbria Jazz Festival?
Oh, no.
That's from Alan Devine.
Hello, Alan. No, we haven't done the Umbria Jazz Festival. That sounds interesting. I mean, Italy's hot on jazz. It has some great festivals, and this year we were just going to get going. In fact, the last gig we did was in Italy, in Taranto, and the north had just locked down, so we weren't really sure if we should go. And we said to everyone, is it safe to come? Should we come? We did, because it was confined to the north at that time. And we were greeted by the Red Cross with the thermometers. Everyone was very careful and cautious. And that's a fantastic city. It's a very strange city. It's sort of half industrial steel town. And then there's an ancient Greek harbour and Greek ruins and Roman ruins and a beautiful old town and a fantastic ice cream parlour, I seem to remember.
Ooh, that's my favourite. Oh, Jim Swatingen, when is your next meet you'll be releasing for us? Band members in different locations.
Oh, well, I'm not sure. You've been looking at my Facebook page. Hello, Jim. Yes, you posted some of our rehearsals, I noticed. And thank you. You posted some of our tunes that I can't find anymore. We're just trying to work out how we can do a socially distanced live stream. So we've got a studio. We've kind of broadcast some rehearsals from there just to send out to people who like our music, because that's just us preparing for a gig. But now we're not doing the actual gigs. We'll probably have to do the gigs in there. But now we're not even allowed to have anyone in the room, I don't think. Although it is our place of work, but is it essential work? Please send your piece of paper.
Or anywhere if you wanted. There's so many bizarre rules.
Yeah.
Can't make head nor tail of it.
I know. Well, I have had some big photographs blown up of members of the band, so we've got them in the room. Tempting fate, I think. I did this a few weeks ago. If any chance we should not be able to have the band in the room, how could we represent them? Because you can do Zoom performances and everyone's in little boxes, but after a while they tend to look the same. So I was sort of thinking ahead, thinking how could we do a few songs, get the band to perform elsewhere or send in their recordings and we'll perform along with them, and then we can broadcast them. But we're still trying to work out how to do that, really. I mean, it's much more fun to be together on the stage because you feed off each other, and to be performing to a real audience because we feed off the audience. And it's great to actually, if you've written a song, recorded it, to go and release it out into the world and, and share it with people.
It's not, I think being a pop, I mean, as if I know, I don't know what it was like. But now sometimes, in the old days, a record go in the charts and it'd creep up. In a few weeks and it'd be number one. Now they kind of just go straight to number one and then disappear again. And I don't know, I've got no interest really in pop music now, really, unless because I like to know the pop stars' business and how they met and that kind of thing. And now it's so-and-so featuring so-and-so featuring this person.
Well, I suppose it's a whole different game now. We used to sort of wait for the NME or Disco 45 to come out, or Smash Hits or Jackie, and read about people. We'd have to wait, and it was kind of paced, wasn't it? But I think now, you say it's like instant at the click of a button, just click and go, and then it's done. And I think also music's put together in a slightly different way. I think music used to tell a story, not just with the lyrics, but the way it was built and performed.
Yeah.
And it's put together in a different way. I mean, there's still a lot of merits in that as well, but people listen to music in a different way, I think. Maybe they don't need to listen to a 6-minute track when it's all happened in 40 seconds, it's designed for listening to on a phone, not on a stereo with speakers and surround sound. But I don't know. Goes around.
I'm very quite fond of Justin Bieber, I've decided.
Oh.
I quite like little songs. They're quite nice.
Yeah. Well,
I can tell it on the radio, because I just listen to the radio because I like the fact that I don't know what's coming on.
I know, I love that. I love the randomness of radio, and I think that's what you miss when you have to choose everything and pick your Spotify playlist and select things. It's nice to just have some random. I suppose now Spotify do that. I don't really listen to it, but it does kind of come a bit random. But I do like the radio when it's just a whole range of different musics, or it used to be when we had like Radio 1 in the 60s or the
Yeah,
70s.
Radio 2 now. That's sadly how old I am. I just listen to Radio 2. And I like when they play the Sex Pistols on Radio 2 and Led Zeppelin. I go, you
Yeah.
would never do this, would you?
New Order. I know. Well, I think it's kind of moved. All the stuff we used to listen to has moved.
Yeah, Radio 2.
Yeah.
What else? So, what's your favourite place when you're in the States and why? Oh, I love questions like this.
Oh. I really loved Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, everywhere's got a different.
Yeah.
I think I really like to be performing in the States, and we've met so many great people there. So in a theatre, or we played in this great theatre in Los Angeles called the El Rey Theatre that was all Art Deco. That was beautiful. I think when we found and the theatre at Little Five Points in Atlanta, Georgia, I love that as well, because
That's lovely, isn't it?
It's a beautiful city, and it's an independently run theatre, and they also look after feral cats.
Oh, are they? Have you by any chance ever played at the Troubadour in Los Angeles?
No, we haven't.
Oh, I've got in a bit of a session with the Troubadour because they often show, I think it's on BBC4 or something, or Sky Arts, James Taylor and Carole King live at the Troubadour, and it's one of my favourite things I've ever seen.
Oh wow, I'll have to check that out. No, I know it's a famous venue.
Where Tom performed, didn't he, in the film Rocket Man?
Oh yeah. We played at this great place in New York called Webster Hall, and that was like an old theatre.
Oh, I saw a picture of you pop up. Very nice.
Wow, that's great. Who's done that?
I'm trying to recognise who they're by. I'm not quite sure.
That's a lovely one. Oh, wow. Nice.
Oh, Vanessa. I thought it might be Vanessa. Thanks, Vanessa.
Oh, looks like oil pastels. That's lovely.
Oh, I love an oil pastel.
Yeah.
Love them.
Oh, wow. I did used to be a live model, a long time ago.
What did you do? What, naked or dressed?
Not for anyone famous like you. Well, it was when we first started out naked, because we'd done our first demo and we'd run out of money, and we had got a record deal, and we were about to do our second song, which was Breakout. And it was just at the time when Madonna had, or a few years before, she'd been, some photos of her posing nude for a photographer got out, and I was thinking, well, if it can work for Madonna, maybe it'll work for us. And the London College of Fashion, a friend of mine worked there, and they needed someone to do life modeling.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few weeks, and I did notice all the students had a similar style, like Gauguin. I mean, very chunky bottom and legs, and then I suddenly realised actually that's me. I thought they've got a similar style, but also one of them brought in a copy of Smash Hits, because we'd had one single out, Blue Mood, and there was a picture of me and Andy and Martin. They went, "Miss, is this you?" And I went, "Don't be so silly. No, it's my sister." And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll stop now. It worked.
Yeah, you got big because you've been nude modelling.
Yeah.
Out. You ever had stalkers or anything? Just to change the subject, you ever had any stalkers?
Not really.
Yeah.
I've had a few incidents with people, but it's usually all good. There's just one lady who got a bit funny when we were at the Grammys in New York. She knew which hotel we were nominated for 2 Grammys for Breakout. Yeah. And so we were attending the awards, and everyone was staying in the Hilton. It was at the Radio City Music Hall where the event was. And there was one lady, and she was really lovely. I'd nipped out for a cup of coffee. You had to go through security and everything. And I sort of snuck out a back door with a headscarf on because I wanted some coffee and, just wanted to go for a little wander. But we weren't really supposed to be leaving. Everyone had to be there, locked down in the hotel, ready for the occasion. And this lady said, "Oh, I got your autograph a year or so ago, and you told me you liked Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, and she had their autographs, and then she wanted Andy and Martin's photo, and she kind of snuck back through this little side door that I'd gone in with me, and I was going, I don't know if you really should be coming in here, because the security is really strict. It was Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, Prince, Diana Ross. I mean, all my heroes were at this Grammy Awards ceremony.
Yeah.
And somehow we managed to get in there. And I said, I don't know if you should be coming in here. And people certainly weren't allowed up the lifts onto the floors, because that's where all the performers were staying. And she followed me and she said, oh, I think you have to get me Andy and Martin's autographs. And I'm going, well, no, they're not here. You can't come with me. She said, no, I want to come to your room. And so the doors opened and I went in, and the bell captain said, excuse me, Matt. And this lady said, I'm with her. And I'm going, no, you're not. And they went, and she started calling me, I won't really say what she said on here, but there was a big scene, and she started calling me all the names under the sun, telling him I was lying, and I was her friend. I'm going, well, I told you couldn't come in here. But I don't think that's particularly bad compared to some people have. I think it's been all love for us, really.
Oh, you see, you're not the kind of woman who dances in your knickers like they do now.
Well, I might have done that when we were going out, when we were at St. Martin's. In fact, I did do that at Denzel's club once.
Oh, white trash.
Yes, I think that's because I had a hole in my skirt and I decided to turn it into a sort of hula skirt.
In fact, in those days, I make dress out of tablecloth before I went out, just cut holes in things. It was such a marvellous time.
I know, and paper. I once went out in a Marie Antoinette dress. I went to Wilma's Marie Antoinette party, and then we went to some warehouse party in Wapping, and this was made of paper. Can you remember Greg Davis? We both worked in the same place. It was a pleating factory, and everything was wrapped in this beautiful pink tissue paper that was also pleated. So they just threw it away, so you could make great outfits out of it. But warehouse parties always seem to have wet floors. I'm preparing to decide it was beer on the floor, but who knows? Yeah. Dress just soaked the water up until it got waist height and the whole skirt fell off. So you probably remember coming out of those warehouse parties in Wapping, and you were on a beach, which is now something like Canary Wharf, but you sort of hang around till some more people were there, till you dare walk to a bus stop, or so you could get a cab together or something. It was kind of a bit desolate out there, wasn't it? But we were all feeding each other's imagination.
Everywhere practically was desolate in those days. Even central London was desolate at night.
It was. I remember Covent Garden, and I can remember the first shop that opened there was PX, and I can remember Princess Julia.
Helen who ran PX, she lives here as well.
Really?
Yeah, she's got a shop called Shop.
Oh, wow. Well, I better get myself down there, hadn't I? Yeah, but I remember walking through Covent Garden, and it must have been wintertime. It was dark, and it was like an Edward Hopper painting. There's this one solitary shop that was PX in one of the old fruit and veg shops, and Julia just sitting there like a robot. I mean, the outfits were kind of quite robotic, weren't they, in PX? And Julia was just sitting still as a shop dummy. Very craft work.
Oh, that's marvelous. Is that Tara? Oh no, Stella. Oh, Stella from Greece.
Oh, lovely. That's beautiful. And I love it. You've got all the zigzags in.
We are international here. We have people from all over the world. Who's that from? Tony Cabanalis, lovely.
Oh, wow. These are very good licenses.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Oh, that's my friend Karen Duffin. I can always tell her style. Oh, that's lovely. The orange is fantastic.
All the orange, yes.
That's brilliant. Oh, you've got such lovely eyes in that one. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, have you ever hit? Oh, Motomo. She's obviously leading you along here. Have you ever hit in central London?
Well, I think Mo knows the answer to I mean, we probably all used to do it. I wouldn't recommend this to any youngsters these days, or mature women either, or men. But yeah, that was the best way to get about. If you're a bit impatient, you didn't want to wait for a bus, or you couldn't afford a bus, just hitch
I've hitched up on Court Road many a time.
I
I like the white on the edge of that one. That's lovely.
Yeah,
Liz.
Liz. Oh, Liz Dubois. I know Liz. Liz is from Manchester. Liz is
that's lovely.
from Manchester. Yeah, that's great, Liz. I like the eagle brown paper.
Mo, are you in France or are you in Bexhill? It takes about 10 minutes to answer. It's a delay. Do you know if Mo's in here or if she's in France?
I think she's here at the moment.
Oh, I'll have to go and see her. Oh, I can't go and see her. I've forgotten.
We're not allowed to. You can walk on the beach.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, you're lucky.
So we're almost up. Any more final questions anyone wants asked? Any questions required? Because the time goes so quick, doesn't it? An hour's up.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, I don't know. In an interesting way, but how amazing was it that you modelled for Lucy and Freud? And what was it like? What did you talk about when you were sitting, or did you just go to sleep like you did in the picture?
I went to sleep, but then generally, minor celebrities. When you met times you met Judy Garland, I was making him tell me that story.
Wow.
I could just chat away to him like a normal friend. Do you know what I mean? He'd like to know about romances going on, and and he read so many newspapers that he knew everything that was going on. Then he might sing me a little song or recite a poem.
Oh wow! So it wasn't all concentration and silence.
Oh no. And if I was, he had this funny thing with Solpadeine. So if I was overtired or over fidgety, Sue, let's have some Solpadeine.
The fizzy ones.
Yeah, the fizzy ones, and he stirred them with the dirty old paintbrush handle. Most of the time, drugged with Solpadeine.
And how many sittings did you do? Over how long did you do all those sittings? Was it like months, years?
4 paintings that were about 9 months each, 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
So it was a lot.
Yeah, so you must have really got to know each other really well.
Yeah, but it was just, I didn't really, he was just like a normal person to me. He was funny.
Yeah.
But he realised how funny he was. Sometimes, especially because he hated his brother Clement Freud so much. And then he was being horrible about him. I'd laugh so much I almost fell off the sofa.
Because you kind of think, oh, they're siblings, they're all in this together and they're all chummy and friends. But then you got to know all the inside stories.
Oh, I didn't speak to him for years.
Oh.
I think he said, and then he was an MP, I think, for a while, wasn't he? And then he lost his seat. And he went, do you know what I did? I was so thrilled. I sent him a congratulations telegram.
Oh.
He used to be horrible about people, but it used to make me laugh. The things he said, I'd just be shocked. But they're laughing. But it was fun. It was just like going to work, really. And I spent a lot of time reading the Sunday supplements because he'd go off and do something, so I'd be left in the room. And he got about 6 or 7 newspapers a day. So at the weekends, I just sat and read all the supplements. So I was very well up on everything at the time.
So it's quite a good way to relax as well.
Oh, yeah. And it was really good. It gave you time for thinking. Because, like you always things are going on in your head. You think, I should be doing this. I should be at home. I'll be making I should be doing this, that. But there, you could do nothing. So it was really good to think about things and try and solve problems. And it was a luxury, really.
So that's maybe what people could be doing throughout this lockdown.
Lying around.
Lying around, but being life models for each other. I mean, you can do it online, but...
Yeah, you can. But he would never draw you if you weren't there. He wouldn't even work on the background of the painting if you weren't there, because he felt aura or whatever affected all the colours and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, all of his flesh tones and skin tone, the lighting and everything's fantastic in his paintings, and the brush strokes. I just love. You can feel the energy in those pictures, but I think that comes.
He loved a spot or a scar or a scab. He painted it in, but then you know, they go away, then another one might appear somewhere else. You take that in as well. So in the end, I look really spotty, but I wasn't really. I only had one of them at a time.
Warts and all. Is that the Queen behind you? Is that the Queen behind you?
It says "God Save the Queens," so it's like a pun. By a man called, what's his name? Gene Bible did it for me. But we're gonna have to go soon. But I just, because it's almost time. It's 5 past. We've had an hour and 5 minutes. But I want to thank you so much. It's been so enjoyable. I've learned so much. It's been, I'm sure everyone else as well. And can I just remind everyone as well, if you're feeling generous, I know it's hard up, but you've got £1 or so if you give it to Kerry's fundraiser. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't know who's modelling next week yet, because I'm not sure, but I'll find someone good. Don't you worry.
But also, I think it's great that you do this for free. So if there is something that we
get a little bit of pay,
something we can donate to, you know, like Kerry's.
I get a bit of pay from the lottery.
Yeah.
From isolation station. So, you know, not tons, but, you know, a little bit. Keep me going in these hard times.
And I don't think people mind chipping in, because you have actually been a saviour to a lot of people throughout the lockdown. I mean, when it was so unknown as to what was happening, it was great to have you to tune into, and some great models.
You've said such lovely things to me. I feel thrilled. You know, because it's a pleasure to do it. It's no trouble. And people are so lovely. It's nice. Well, I better say goodbye to you. Should we wave goodbye to everyone? Then we can carry on chatting. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Enjoy your lockdown. Have a super time.
Can't wait to see them.
Bye.
Bye.